when you're trying to help people and stuff like that, it's oftentimes we're our own worst enemies. People are usually in their own way. And so, but at the same time, it's like, who am I to tell you that you're in your own way? It's like, I'm not that person to be able to like, be like, I don't necessarily know what it is. I know I want to help people, but like, how can I help you without it seeming like I know what's best for you? So that's always like this power struggle. At least me personally is like, because I am a helper. I'm like, people will tell you that. Like, hey, Enoch, help me. Is like, I'm going to go out of my way to help you. Even if it hurts myself sometimes and stuff like that. But then it's like, I like to allow people to ask me for help.
Before we get into this episode, I know you've been struggling with the idea of starting your own business and launching a premium product that you know is going to transform lives. So I have a bomb resource for you. The man himself, Words Taylor, is going to help you launch your product or service for the clients who need your help right now. Now, you can't call yourself a business owner unless you are getting in front of new clients every single day, and Words knows exactly how to do that. All you have to do is tap in so he can teach you his 6-figure launch strategy that's produced over $5 million in client sales. So all you have to do is go to highticketlaunchsecrets.com. That's highticketlaunchsecrets.com and get into the free training. It's happening this week. So go to highticketlaunchsecrets.com and let's get into the episode. Welcome to another episode of the Work and Play Podcast. I'm your host, Ariel Young, and I have a crazy cool guest whose journey you're gonna love because I love it already, and so we're gonna explore it together. Mr. Enoch, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, so I'm Enoch. I'm a filmmaker, photographer, videographer, background in engineering, nuclear engineering, went to Georgia Tech. I'm Atlanta native, born and raised in Stonecrest, Lithonia, Decatur area.
East side.
East side. I'm East Atlanta. East Atlanta.
Got you.
Southwest DeKalb High School for all my East Atlanta people, so I try to represent the city and keep the culture alive and well.
And you're doing it really well, So, filmmaker, creative mind, I have enjoyed this conversation so far. And one thing about the Work and Play podcast is we talk about career transitions, life self-actualization, life transitions, and all of those crazy, wonderful things and what they actually mean to you. So you haven't always been a filmmaker, but what do you do right now as a filmmaker? Like, what does that life look like for you?
What does that life look like for me? So it's on the go. My business is open 24/7. Like I take text messages and phone calls at midnight. I'm taking them at 2 a.m. I take them at 8 a.m. as well. So there is no time period. I would say that's my biggest thing from having a 9-to-5 to being an entrepreneur is that my business is 24/7.
Yeah.
Because I'm building up my clientele. I'm trying to solve all these issues. You realize that there is 24 hours in a day, whereas 9-to-5 is, you only have 9-to-5 to complete the task because you ain't trying to go home with that.
Facts.
They ain't paying you to go home with that. So
I'm not mad. Listen, so when you realize your time is now expanded, but the thing about it is when we are in our 9-to-5, we so dream of having our time back that we don't necessarily think about what it is that we're going to do with our time. So now you have 24 hours. One, it sounds a bit scary that you're taking calls 24/7. But two, I know there's trade-offs to that. So what are the trade-offs?
What are the trade-offs? I would tell people, so there are pros and cons that come with every single situation. So anybody who's ever heard me talk about corporate America and 9-to-5, they would know that I have somewhat more of a negative opinion of it because they really monopolize your time. They really think that they own you for that period of time. They don't allow you to really, take time to yourself and mental health breaks. Which you can argue that entrepreneurship, like when you have clients, they don't want you to take time off either. But at least you know that you do have more than 8 hours to be able to get accomplished what you want to get accomplished.
Thanks.
So, and you get to set your own boundaries. So I don't have to take calls at 2 a.m. I don't have to take calls at midnight. I set those boundaries. If I set the precedent of after 6 o'clock, if you call me, I just don't answer, as clients, you're going to get the point. When the post office closes, not to go to the post office at 9 p.m. thinking that you're going to get service because it closes.
Yeah.
Me personally, I just know how the creative mind works, and I know that creativity can strike at any time. So I open myself up that especially if it's a good client. So,
what's a good client?
What's a good client? A good client is a client that's super transparent, super understanding, super communicative. They know what they really want. So that's a lot of clients that I have is they don't necessarily know what they want. They know that they know what they're trying to make, but it's like I have to fill in a lot of pieces. So it's like they're at point A, they want to get to point Z, but they haven't given me the other 24 letters. And now I have to fill in those 24 letters. But if you come to me, you want to get to point Z and you're at point A and you know steps A through Y.
We can work with that.
Oh, we good. It's good business.
I got you. Okay, so I was a little afraid at first because I'm like, how are we going to start the podcast about work and play and you talk about working 24 hours a day? That's not what we're trying. But but the fact that you, one, set a criteria for who you want to answer the phone for at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and because you already have, you're in a space in your business, it sounds like, where you're still building your clientele and you're still kind of grinding. So like, tell us a little bit about the journey to actually get here. I think all of us are really excited about like the development of a person who goes from employee to entrepreneur. So what is your background? How did you start into like nuclear engineering?
Okay, so nuclear engineering. Anybody who knows me knows I kind of have like a save the world complex. I'm always about like, I want humanity to be better. I want us to love more. I want us to really get over ourselves. Like realize that life is too short. All this hatred, go out the window. Let's just create some dope things. And so with that, I had a teacher in high school that really influenced me, and he was my physics teacher. And he used to tell me that the next great thing that's going to be a great challenge for humanity is going to be energy. So I went nuclear energy because I would learn about all the different, I would learn about solar, I would learn about wind, I would learn about biodegradables, I would learn about coal, oil, all that kind of things. And I actually went into the solar industry for 2 years. That's why I was in, went post-graduation, and then I went to robotics for the next 3 years.
Okay.
I was in corporate America. And so then COVID hit, pandemic hit. And with robotics, I was in a essential worker area, so, and my schedule became hectic. Hectic. So I tell all nurses, all doctors, all essential workers and stuff like that, like I was right there with you, and I gave them all kudos because it was hell.
Yeah.
So for everyone who was just chilling at their house and stuff like that, like you don't realize the type of like pressure that was put upon you. Like in my workforce, 50% of people quit when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And so I went to have to do like manual labor, do the robotics, do everything. And then my schedule went from 3 a.m. in the morning, it was like 3 a.m. to like 9, 10 a.m. to like midnight to noon, like 12-hour days.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous.
Now, and were you salary or were you like hourly?
Salary. So like there was no extra. This is just what it is. It was just more like the more people quit, the more people let you down, the more pressure got put upon me because the project had to succeed.
Got you. So you went from nuclear engineering, and then you said you had post-education in...
I said, so when I graduated, I was in solar.
And then you went into robotics. What was the job in robotics? Like, tell us what your role was.
So I did a lot of things. So I created robotic arms. I created like automated systems that sorted out different things, did different tasks. Creating machines that could like work around. So pretty much what I was transitioning, a lot of buildings, a lot of hubs, a lot of factories. I was taking, not saying I was taking people's jobs, but I was requiring that like a lot of manual labor to be shifted over to automated behavior, and then trying to train people to now deal with the automated. So I was one of those people who technically was taking jobs because it was engineering, and it is what it is. Like, so it's, you know, the machines I created, they would take the role of 10 people and maybe turn it into 5. But then now those 5 people have to be technical savvy. So I tell people like, you know, manual jobs are going away. Yeah. So it's like you need to get into technology, which the newer generation is in the technology. But it's manual jobs are going away. So people like, I remember Andrew Yang when he was running for president, he was like, people were blaming Mexicans for taking jobs. Like, no, it was automation. Automation's what's taking jobs. And it is. I was an engineer who was Like the manual labor people, they did not like me because they knew I was coming in to like create systems that were gonna, and it was like, I got it.
Yeah.
I never yelled at them or was mad at them. It's like, it is what it is.
Absolutely. How did that feel? So you started your career in nuclear engineering because you have this save the world complex, and then you find yourself in the precipice of kind of doing the opposite of what you want to do in terms of helping people. So how did it feel in that moment? Was that one of the reasons that you decided to leave your role?
Yes. So I had that same high school professor. He was an engineer, and before he became a physics professor, and the reason that he left is because he said engineering is the ultimate ethics question. Because you have to think about engineering. You don't necessarily decide what you engineer and what it's going to be used for. You just make this. So like the same, like an engineer had to create the atomic bomb that killed millions of people.
Facts.
But engineers also create our cell phones that make us be able to talk and all this kind of stuff. But you don't necessarily be like, hey, I create this thing and somebody else can use that thing and weaponize it.
Right.
So it's like ultimate ethics. So
that's big. So I'm really resonating with your story because so I would say I'm similar to you in the sense that I have a save the world complex, and through my coaching I think of practical ways to actually do that. And I don't necessarily feel like I had a negative impact on humanity, but I didn't feel like I was having an impact at all. So when I'm listening to your story, it's like you have this desire to help humanity, right? You recognize your role in it. And I'm kind of thinking you're fortunate to even have had that engineering background. So how does it feel to have that balance of both, the ability to have the connectivity between people and then also the power to create things that are powerful enough to hurt people?
How does it feel to have that balance? Feels like a lot of power, a lot of weight on your shoulders. Because it's like when you're trying to help people and stuff like that, it's oftentimes we're our own worst enemies. People are usually in their own way. And so, but at the same time, it's like, who am I to tell you that you're in your own way? It's like, I'm not that person to be able to be like, I don't necessarily know what it is. I know I want to help people, but like, how can I help you without it seeming like I know what's best for you? So that's always like this power struggle. At least me personally is like, because I am a helper. I'm like, people will tell you that. Like, hey, Enoch, help me. Is like, I'm gonna go out of my way to help you. Even if it hurts myself sometimes and stuff like that. But then it's like, I like to allow people to ask me for help. Because I know I'm not just gonna, or at least I try not to just be like, hey, I can help you. This and that. I'm like, ask me for help and then we can see what it is. Because I don't want you to think like I know best. I don't know what I'm doing. None of us do. I don't know. How do you do this? I don't know. I wake up in the morning and I drink water. That's all I can tell you. That's my secret, water.
So one of the things that you probably get asked about a lot is, how did you do it? How did you leave corporate and then how did you make a life for yourself?
Yes, that is the number one question I get asked, because people think I was an overnight success. People think because from the outside looking in, it was like I was just engineering, and then suddenly I had businesses, and they were just fluctuating, and it looked well, and I was always shooting, and I was on sets with all these people who society perceives as being amazing and all this kind of stuff, and it was like, how did it just go from? It was like, no, people. First of all, when I got into corporate America, I knew I didn't want to be in corporate America for my entire life. So that was 2015 when I got into corporate America. I made a 5-year plan.
You did?
I made a 5-year plan that I was going to get out, because to me, I knew I wasn't going to be able to help humanity being in corporate America. And for what I wanted to do. Anyone who's in corporate America and they're doing what they need to do, you might feel, but I knew I wasn't going to be helping people. So I made a 5-year plan. I said I had to get out in 5 years. And so I always was constantly working on my side businesses. And I was constantly preparing systems and processes for when that time came. And COVID happened, and then it was like, I got something, I was like, I need to get out of this. And so I didn't end up leaving my corporate America job until October 30th of last year.
Okay.
So, but I tell people that I started, there was a time where end of June, I knew I was a good shooter. I knew I was a good photographer, videographer. I knew I could tell stories. I had made some things, some slight films that people had really enjoyed, and I knew I could do it. But it's like most people they want to see what clients that you work with, what things of this nature. So I went out from March to June just trying to get videography, photography jobs.
Yes.
Like applying all the time. Then I ended up getting a job with a pretty upper echelon client in which I met my business partner. But I was still working, so I was working that job, and that was a full-time job with my full-time job.
Right.
So I was going to my engineering job pretty much midnight to noon.
Okay.
Maybe 11. Sometimes I try to get off and try to I'll be taking phone. It's funny. I'll be taking phone calls. I'm driving to my other job, and sometimes I'll be taking phone calls with the engineering job as I was doing the other job, and then I'm working that job till 8 p.m. So
wow.
You're looking like
12 to noon. And then noon to 8.
So you're looking at 4, and I did that for 5 months.
And 4 hours of sleep, if that.
And I'm still making films.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still turning around and doing all this stuff. And then on top of that, what I'm doing is on Instagram, I'm finding 10 clients a day, and I'm reaching out to them.
You're proving your concept. You're proving the fact that you can do this.
Mm-hmm. But I wanted out of corporate America. It's I knew I wanted that. So I tell people it's a hard journey. It's hard. It really becomes how much do you want out of corporate America?
Yeah.
Because it's not for everybody. It's not like I said. I would not recommend getting 4 hours of sleep to anybody. But I knew what I wanted to do. I knew the skills I had to gain, and so by the time October 30th led, it had got to the point I was like, this engineering people, corporate America started talking to me crazy, and I was like, listen, I make just as much money at this point as I'm making on this job. I have the liberty to be able to leave.
When you want to. I got to come back to this entrepreneurship isn't for everybody conversation. Mm-hmm. Because what you did, most strategic way to create an exit strategy and pull the trigger. So I believe that we can all do that for ourselves. But I recognize that, everybody maybe... When we say entrepreneurship is not for everybody, I believe freedom is for everybody. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And if freedom is for everybody, that means everybody deserves to have a shot at entrepreneurship. Right? Mm-hmm. And yes, the journey, the trek might be a little difficult to get through those woods, you know what I mean? To find the houses that are safe and to sneak in the middle of the night when you need to, and then finally get across the border and get to wherever you need to go. But when you get over there, it's worth it. You know what I mean? I know some people don't recognize that they are not free, but I do believe that entrepreneurship is that thing for them. And so it was something else that you said that was, it kind of sat with me, which was you don't necessarily, you help people when they ask for help, right? I feel like I'm in a space where I'm like, hey, would you like some help? Mm. So I kind of feel like when you say that, I would prefer to wave a flag and say, hey, recognize the signs, versus sit back and be like, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Because I think it is for everybody. I think everybody's journey could take 5 years. Somebody could take 5 years, but somebody could take 6 months. So I say all that to say, I'm curious about these side hustles. First of all, you're like, I got 5 years to get up out of here. I need to create a plan. We're creating an exit strategy, and the exit strategy is in the making. What was the first thing that you decided to get into?
God, you said so many things in there. There's so many,
Feel free.
Okay, so... Take it. Do you think so freedom, I do believe freedom is for everybody. Mm-hmm. Do you believe everyone wants to be free?
Freedom is for everybody, but do I believe everybody wants to be free? I think some people have learned how to navigate the unfree life. And so since they do it so well, it's safer and it's comfortable there. And I'm not here to make people uncomfortable, but for the people who are like, yo, there's something else out here. I don't know about this little not free situation.
Well, so I had a conversation with my sister. She has a pet rabbit. Mm-hmm. And the rabbit and stuff like that, she was looking at rabbit because she lets it out probably 2-3 times a week. And she was like feeling sad about the rabbit. And she was like, oh, she wished she could be outside and play. And I was like, well, so here's the thing. The rabbit, you feed her. She didn't ever have to worry about food. You give her water. She didn't have to worry about water. She didn't have to worry about being outside and getting picked up by a hawk. Anything like that. She's sacrificing her being able to run and frolic free for that. So she's sacrificing freedom for security. That's really the philosophical argument.
Yeah.
Because again, at the end of the day, like all my clients right now could be like, hey, we don't want to work with you anymore. I lose all my financial security at that point.
Yep.
Whereas, my engineering job, no matter what, if I got called in sick, this and that, like I was going to get that paycheck.
Yeah.
Had my 401k, had my health benefits, everything. Life is, to a certain degree, you're secure.
Right.
Life feels really good. So it's a very, very, very interesting argument.
I agree. That's why I say the first step in entrepreneurship for me is to establish what your vision is. Because when you have a vision, your vision outweighs security. And your vision is what keeps you steady when it's not stable. So the first step that I always talk about is have a vision, like what it is that you want to do. You talk about wanting to save people. And then you also said that you knew in corporate you weren't going to be able to help people the way that you wanted to. So what was your vision? What did you, and even if you didn't know what it was, what did it feel like? I'm extremely passionate about helping corporate professionals transition into entrepreneurship. So I had to share the number one thing that helped me develop as an entrepreneur, and that's the morning meetup. I joined the morning meetup specifically for the structure because I'm leaving corporate America, so I'm used to those morning huddles. We got our sales, we know what our goals are, and we get our day started. So I was missing that for 2 years before I even found the morning meetup. Now, the second thing that I really, really benefited from was the revenue generating activities was not necessarily a thing before 2021. Now I had my LLC, I had my website, I had a few clients here and there, but the momentum really took off as soon as I got around like-minded individuals and people who really knew the struggles that I was already dealing with, that I could get over my fear of sales and communicating my value and putting myself out there on social media. The friends that I've developed, the mentors and the mentees that I've created relationships with, everything has really created this environment for us to thrive as entrepreneurs. So if you want to develop as an entrepreneur, you're leaving corporate America and you're trying to figure out how do I get my footing in entrepreneurship, then the morning meetup will definitely be a game changer for you. You can learn with us, you can grow with us. And I didn't even mention that we have a book club. Join us in the community. Let's get started today. You will not regret it.
So one of the gifts I would say I've always been blessed with is being able to express myself. So while I am super logical, super mathematical, engineering, I've always been able to write, tell the story, really good at telling the story. And so I've always liked writing things, whether it was poetry or short stories, all this kind of stuff. In college, I got into script writing, being able to tell story. And it came out of my engineering. I'm a problem solver. So I'm unapologetically Black. And I just remember being in college around 2011, 2012. And if anybody can remember what movies were like for Black people in that time, it was just, to me, they were so disingenuous. And so I was like, you see the man wake up, he ain't got no do-rag on, the girl wake up and she doesn't have, her bonnet on. You know how this goes. And it's just like, it doesn't feel like our culture is being represented. So I would always complain about that. And I had an ex-girlfriend at the time, and she just said, you're so sick of it, do something about it. I was like, excuse me.
Yeah.
She told me what it was, and it literally changed my life, and I learned how to write scripts from there. And I was like, oh, that's a formula? I'm an engineer. Scripts, very formulated. Movies, very formulated. Television shows, very formulated. I'm rarely surprised by any film I watch now, because it's a formula to them.
Yeah.
It's a rise, it's climax. There's a way you're supposed to tell a story. And so that's the first big thing. So using that gift to write and tell the vision, because the problem I was trying to solve was I wanted our culture to be represented, with this essence, the flavor, everything. We're so not a monolith, and I really wanted to tell that story. So I started really cultivating my writing skills. So for when I got into corporate America, I'm writing scripts as I'm really honing in on the parts. I'm sending it to my friends. I'm really trying to that was my first big step. And then I thought, hey, I'm just gonna write scripts. And then I have friends who like shooters, and I have friends who are directors, and I know some people who edit. I was like, oh, they're gonna, shoot my stuff and stuff like that. And I was disappointed by people. very much so. Reached out to some people who I consider friends, thinking that they would help me out and stuff like that, and they have their own lives.
Okay.
So they didn't. So then I was like, well, you know what's stopping me from being able to do this?
Yeah.
Now, what I didn't know at the time is that I had already in life been given skills that I didn't know. When I was 12 years old, I asked for a camera for Christmas. So I was always taking photos at school function. I was like a part of yearbook. I had always be recording videos, just because.
Yeah.
So I realized, I already kind of knew some things. So then, you go to YouTube University and you start learning some more things.
Yes.
And then it became, why can't I shoot this? Why can't I? Okay, engineer, let's go, buy a camera. So then I started buying a camera. So then people started seeing me shoot and they were like, oh, I have some ideas. And then it became more, okay, so now let me learn how to edit. And then as I started putting that stuff in the atmosphere, I started finding the people. So I found a mentor, Eugene Bush. I will always give him shout out. He taught me how to edit.
Was it a free mentorship? I just had to ask.
Well, I became a part of his. He was doing the writer's room with his wife, Maggie Bush. Also, one of my greatest inspirations for writing. Lovely couple, really great. They really taught me a lot. And he taught me how to shoot and edit a lot of stuff. So just watching him and really editing, that was the key thing. I was then it became more I don't necessarily I want people to be a part of it, but I don't need people to be a part of it. So it's at the end of the day, the train can keep moving if I have to be pushing it by myself.
Yeah.
So then when I started pushing it by myself,
then people came to help. I already know where you're going with this. I do. That's why I want to go back. As corporate Americans, one of the resources that I feel like is untapped, especially if we want to go into entrepreneurship or if we just have the inkling of wanting to do more, because I feel like that's where we are in your journey. We're at a place where you have a problem and you figure out, okay, how do I fix it? How do I solve it? All right, let me pick up some skills and let me start doing some things. Let me start exercising this skill set that I have. One of the things that I think what's easily accessible in corporate is people. You can put time on somebody's calendar. You can literally just pick someone's brain, right? The concept of picking someone's brain is so easily used in corporate. But when you go into entrepreneurship, it's not as easy to get free advice, much less helpful advice for your specific journey, because you may be asking someone who will potentially be your competitor one day, but they're like, why would I want to help you? So did you ever come to terms with the fact that, you said, no, they have their own lives. You said you were a bit disappointed.
I would say that, I don't hold any grudges against I don't know what they were going through and stuff like that. So I never try to assume it. It made me better. I'm in this journey now. So it's I was able to learn that I don't have to depend upon certain people for anything anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with it. But I try to not be that.
Yeah.
Because I knew how it made me feel. So when people do come to me with their ideas, I try. And again, sometimes it's at my own disservice, but I try to say yes more than I say no. Because I know what no's feel like. I was told no so many times. I can't tell you the amount of scripts I sent into people and they were like, no, no, no. I can't tell you the amount of writings I sent to people and they were like, no, no, no. I can't tell you the amount of contests I've entered and they've been like, no, no, no. One of the big things that I always would give Eugene and Maggie Bush credit for is they were my first yes. And that didn't, again, I told you, so 2015 is when I started this journey. I didn't get that yes from Maggie and Eugene until the beginning of 2019. It took 4 years for me to get a yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, for those first 4 years, I was saying yes to myself. And that's all I needed.
Boom. You were laying the foundation. Saying yes to yourself is such a mindset shift. So what were you doing? What did life look like for you before you made that transition? You had a girlfriend. You were watching movies, so you probably had more time. I don't watch as much TV as I used to. Yeah, so unless it's my stuff. So what did life look like for you? And can you help us understand what it feels like in the way, you're an engineer, so I feel like the way I'm breaking this question down, you could maybe answer it this way. But you're on the journey of saying yes to yourself. What did year 1 look like versus year 3 versus year 4 of choosing yourself?
So it gets progressively easier and harder at the same time. So year 1, because you have that security, it really is just a hobby. It is just okay, I'm not gonna say I went home every single day and wrote. I don't try to present myself as this perfect person. I was doing this and that. It was, I would write when I feel like it. My job as a robotics engineer, I was traveling a lot. Like I would be in Portland, I'd be in Philly, I'd be in Seattle and stuff like that. So I would write on planes sometimes, or I would write when I'm in a hotel room, or I would just go out and enjoy the city. And it was like, it felt like I could write when I wanted to. Now, granted, sometimes I would get a script and it would be like, I'm up all night writing it and taking those steps and stuff like that. But then versus year three, it was like, I would say year 3 is the hardest. Because year 3, again, nobody said yes to you. You have stuff now though. Like at the beginning you didn't have stuff. You have stuff that you know you believe in it and you know it's good, but you can't get it in the right hands. And you get all these no's, you get told that you're not good enough, and you get told all these stuff. So it's like you have to break through that wall. You have to believe, and you have to be your biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
You have to just keep telling yourself, yes, I am. Yes, I didn't put these 3 years in for anything. And I would say that's where 99% of people quit. Is that year 3. It's so hard because you just don't have any validation but your own. Like, I remember at a time, like, my mom wasn't even reading my stuff. Like, I was like, hey, mom, like, what you reading my stuff?
Yeah.
And now my mom reads my stuff. Like I said, but she's seen the proof in the pudding as well. But it's like, again, she's busy too. She's raising other kids. I have a little sister and stuff like that, but you're looking for that validation and you're just not getting it in any sense of the word. So it's really hard just to be there. And then year 5, it's like, you have to take that leap. And that's hard. It's like now you're making money, you're getting yeses, you're getting this and that, you set up systems, people believe in you. Like now people are like, oh man, you're dependent upon people. Like, are you going to leave corporate America?
Yeah.
Are you going to take that leap to where it's like, now it's on me?
Yeah.
Like rise and fall, it's on me.
Yeah.
There is no more security blanket. There is no more this and that. It's on me. And that is each of those obstacles, year 1 versus year 3 versus year 5, presents its own set of challenges, but its own set of new freedom. So I would say maybe the most fun is year 1 because you're just doing what you want to do, and it's just but it's like you still have that life security. Year 3, I look back now and I would say that was the most important for my growth process. Like now, mentally and stuff like that, having gone through that and really just battled all the no's. Like when things are not going as well for me in year 5, it's like it's like I've dealt with this enemy before. So it's like I know what your tactics are. Like I can battle you and I know I can win because I've seen proof that I've beat it before. And then year 5, it's great to have. It's great when you see the final product. It's great when you see people like looking at you and like, oh, well, we can do this. We like, and they believe in it. You see a team around people. You see that smile on your face.
Yeah.
You're giving interviews like you're an expert. Guys, I don't know what I'm talking about.
You're an expert on your life.
Don't know what I'm talking about. So it's interesting,
Yeah. I mean that wholeheartedly. You are an expert in your life, and there's so many people. Because you know every step it took for you to get to where you're going, you're an expert on your journey, right? And so you have the map to your level of success. Whatever somebody can learn about this road here is what somebody can learn. And so you are the expert. Like you literally are. So, and it's really interesting. So 5 years, you had a 5-year plan. After 5 years, you're making money. People believe in you. You said it's time to take the leap. And I so want to dig into that leap. But in your 5-year plan, was it to be an entrepreneur? Did you have a way of like making money? Did you think of okay, I need to figure out how I'm going to make money, or like what were the components of your exit strategy?
Okay. So my 5-year plan was, I knew I wanted to have my own. So yes, it's entrepreneurship. I wouldn't have 5 years ago, I wouldn't have told you it would be entrepreneurs, but I knew I wanted my own. I knew I wanted my own business, my own stuff. I didn't think about it that kind of way. And I will say, maybe going back a little bit, is the hardest might be year 4. Because year 4 for me is like, I had been at my job for good, but I'm starting to get like promotion talk and all that kind of stuff. Like, you're starting, that money then started coming in. Listen. So it's like, I'll never forget year 4, because again, I was traveling. It was when it was good, it was great. And so I thought like, I mean, I saw like the corporate ladder rise. I was like, man, I'm not that far away from like, CEO. Like, a good solid 15 years. Like, it's very much so possible. It's like, that's not that, so it's like I started looking at this. I'm looking at CEO salary. I'm starting to see like this. And you see all the benefits of it. And it was like, do I want it? Why can't it be 5-year plan? Why can't it be a 10-year plan?
You start compromising a little bit in your mind.
In my mind, I started compromising. Really, for me, COVID was a blessing.
Ooh.
For me, it was, because when everyone quit, I saw how much value I gave the company and how little they valued me. Like, I realized that not as many people could do what I was doing. Like, not as many people were the type of employee that I was. Because it's the same thing I'm telling you about my own business. That's the same type of employee I was for corporate America. And I still saw how they talked to me and how they demeaned me and how like they took advantage of me and how like they didn't care anything about me. They didn't care about my life. They didn't care about my structures. They had told me, they literally got mad at me for not answering the phone at 8 p.m. on a Saturday. Saturday, guys. 8 p.m. Saturday. Now granted, I will answer it for my selected clients 8 p.m. on a Saturday when I want to now, but it's like, you're crazy if you think I'm gonna answer the phone. If you expect me to answer the phone at 8 p.m. on a Saturday.
Right.
If I call a friend at 8 p.m. on a Saturday, if I call my best friend at 8 p.m. on a Saturday, I don't necessarily expect you to answer.
Right.
So it's just like...
The tables have turned.
The tables have turned. But that leap, you were saying about that.
Yes, I gotta get into the leap. So this is the build up here, because like, after you've done all your work, right? You've explored your skill sets. You've explored your hobbies. You're starting to make money doing it, right? Now you see that there is a stream of income available for you. You're still at a place where like, okay, I'm finding a little bit of success here, but the promotion is on the other side. So at this point, you said like, okay, now it's just about a matter of believing in yourself. What were the talks that you had with yourself during that time?
Honestly, I would say I had a great support system. It wasn't necessarily the talks I had with myself, it's the talks I had with the people I cared about the most. So it's like having to talk with my mom, having to talk with my best friends, the people who literally have been there from the day one of the journey. They've seen all of it. So having their support to be like, hey, you can do it, meant the world to me. And then I would say like, I do think fear plays a great role in it. I think we have a negative connotation of fear, but I feel like fear is that thing that allows you to push further. So I feel like you're supposed to overcome fear. Like you're supposed to like, but fear needs to be there.
Yes.
Fear needs to be there because it drives you to work harder. Fear is what made me able to get 4 hours of sleep and push myself. So, because I was afraid of so much of not being good enough. So it's like, just being like, looking fear in his face and just being, that's the leap, in my opinion. Looking fear in the face and be like, no, I'm not gonna let you stop me. Like, you can either move out of the way, but I'm gonna keep moving forward. I'm either moving through you or I'm gonna move you around you. But fear, you're gonna move out of the way, and fear never moves out of the way. So you have to move through it. So that leap is hard.
Yeah.
That leap is, and so I get when people like, they don't want to make the leap, they want to stay in their comfortable lives. I get it. Yeah. I'm not telling people that you need to be an entrepreneur. This is a hard journey. Yeah. It's super hard. You're going to sacrifice a lot. Like so much. So people like, I know right now, especially with COVID, everyone's like, oh, get your own. Everyone started their own business in COVID. It feels like. Yes. And it's a lot. Yeah. It's a lot. What's it called? What's like 95% of businesses when they start out fail? I told you the 3-year mark. Yeah. That's when it gets hard. Yeah. So like, yeah.
My mind just went to a different, it's like, yes, there was a great rush from the south to the north and everybody didn't make it to the north. I'm sure those numbers and those statistics, that would actually be an interesting study. I might actually put that data together to look at what the numbers look like for this 2020 rush to entrepreneurship and like the rush to the migration.
2025. See how many because what people are gonna notice is like in 2025, 2030, you're gonna see the next Ubers, Teslas, all that stuff is gonna be built out of this. Yes. So greatest thing about tragedy is that when after the ashes, things rise. Yeah. So like again, Tesla, Uber, Lyft, all those things came out in 2008 economic, depression.
Yeah.
So you're going to see like the next rise of all these great businesses are going to come from pandemic.
Absolutely. These great ideas. Mm-hmm. So you're at the place where you're making a leap, and you're both in corporate and you are successful in shooting, right? Mm-hmm. What was it like to turn in your 2 weeks notice?
Ooh, so I love this story. I love turning because I did it. I did it. Oh man, it was I call it like my Scarface moment. It's that moment in the film where it's like it's the Pursuit of Happiness where he claps. I felt like an OG in this moment. So again, it was that conversation. How I told you they got mad at me for not answering my phone at 8 p.m. They had started pushing my hours went from I had to be here at 4 a.m. to being here at 3 a.m. to being here at 2 a.m. to being here at 1 a.m. to being here at noon. And then it got to the point, hey, we need you at 11:30. I'm like, this is the same day pretty much. So it's like I'm working when are their boundaries set? And like I'm trying to set boundaries and they don't want to hear me at all. And so it's like, and then I'm seeing other of my counterparts they're not doing, but they know they can depend upon me. And so they're just putting more on me. I'm like, no, put more. Some of these people are making more than me. And so literally as I'm like fighting back and I'm having these conversations and they're lying to me now too. They're being deceptive. They've told me all these things. They've fed me these false promises and stuff like that. And it's just like, I'm like, yo, listen, like I know what I want to do now. And I got to the point where I saw that I can be successful. I'm like, y'all don't have this leverage over me. And I'm like, you're not going to talk to me like this. And I became more of the combative employee. And so on a Thursday, they ambushed me. So they ambushed me. They put again at 1 p.m. Had been there since midnight. They put on my calendar 3 of my bosses a meeting. 15 minutes before it just pops up. All 3 of them. I'm like, I've been working 13 hours. Y'all want to have this meeting? They literally told me, quote unquote, I was gonna fall in line.
Ooh. Okay.
Told me I was gonna fall in line, and they were like, "Do you understand?" I said, "Okay." Next morning, showed up at 11:30, worked a perfect shift. This and that, did everything perfect. They were smiling, so smiling. When came time for me to get off, I walked up to my boss, handed him my corporate laptop, corporate credit card, my corporate cell phone, and I said, "This is my last day," and walked out. No 2 week notice. No anything. October 30th. No anything.
Ooh, I am not better at that. Okay. What was their reaction?
So within 30 minutes, let me see. My boss, his boss gave me a call. Had a whole hour and 30-minute conversation when he tried to convince me to stay.
Really? What was their tone?
He was like, oh, this and that, and so apologetic, and I was like, I've been trying to tell you guys about these people. I'm over here telling them, I was like, this has happened, this and that, because I had spoken to him a few times, and he was so proud about the project because we're doing this. I was pretty much for my company building the robotics program, or at least an essential standard for it, and I had told him about it, and I had told him about how the upper management are lying to me and all this kind of stuff. And he's heard these complaints, and it was at this point, it's I just felt like I wasn't heard, and so he was trying to convince me you can move to another department, and I'm just I know how it goes. All these people they're friends. The same bosses I have, they're friends with the other bosses. Yeah. So I know I'm gonna be that same combative employee, and it's just this ain't it for me anymore. It's I've outgrown that. It's not even people say it's above me now. No, it's below me at this point.
So why take an hour to have that conversation? What was it like? You were just no, and they were please, 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 no, please, please, please.
He was I know this person. I can move you over to this department, and I'm just I know that person too. I know that this, it's I like the guy who's having the conversation.
Got it. You didn't want to be too nah. This is what it is.
Am I working directly for you? Were you okay? No, because at that point I gotta skip 2 levels. If you want to give me a 2-way promotion, I was
you would have considered it?
I wouldn't just been so no, because 2-way promotion might have been doubling your salary. You know what I'm trying to say.
Thank God they did not double your salary.
But then also that I probably still would have said no. Because if you can just double my salary that quick,
you could have did it before.
So what are we doing?
Yeah. Did you miss anyone when you left on your team?
Yeah. I'm friends with them. Like, all the people, like, again, I'm a helper, so, like, I helped out so many people. I trained so many people, and, like, I still talk to them. So I have, like, some really great friends. So, like, even, like, they were here. They knew I'm shooting. I've shot for them for certain things. Like, actually, the first person I ever, like, shot for in terms of, like, we're actually doing a show. We're doing this and that, like, was one of my coworkers. His wife. She had a cooking show.
Really?
So I shot, like, the cooking show, and I started, like, her YouTube and everything like that.
Nice. I talk about this all the time. I say that the two things that you really need to have when you're building your exit strategy: information and people. The people part is really important, though, because managing those relationships, it's really great to hear that you were able to leverage them as clients. Now, in the film industry, do you guys have this conversation about, like, building an avatar, or how did you decide what your niche was going to be in the film space?
Ooh, okay, so this is where me and my team have a lot of conversations. Because I'm not necessarily, like, a niche person. You know, like, so I'm a photographer, videographer, filmmaker, and so they'd be like, "Oh, well, what genres do you like to make?" I like all genres of film. I like action films. I like horror films. I like comedies. I like romance. I like taking photos. I like doing videos. Like, what kind of videos? I like telling stories. So that's my biggest thing. Like, if the story is interesting, I want to tell it. So I am selective with my clients. Like, at this point, I just won't shoot anything. Like, not all money is good money. So it's like, I like to be interested in the story. So I got hit up to do an underwater photography shoot and stuff like that.
Ooh, you gotta take that.
I've never done one before. So it's like, all right, let's do it. So,
I mean, you can't just be like, sorry, that's not my niche. I don't do underwater. You gotta do it.
But a lot of people, that's not my niche. So it's like, they might try to go with somebody, and it's like, well, I have the equipment to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So why not try it? Believe in myself. Take another leap of faith.
Absolutely.
So, whereas, some of my marketing team might be like, hey, we need to, niche this down a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I do a little bit niche, but it's just like, I like to do what I like to do. So I like to tell the stories I like to tell. So I don't want to. To me, it does feel limiting sometimes, even though I know that, like, that most people, like, if you do niche, you can charge more for your prices. You can do that kind of stuff. So if I just said, hey, I only shoot comedies and stuff like that, like, I'm the comedy expert is what I become, then I can, like, charge for being that. But it's like, then I'll be neglecting that I like to tell horror stories. So I do have a little Jordan Peele in me. I got a little Kevin Hart in me. I got a little bit of, The Rock in me. I like all of those kind of films. So
your journey sounds less about business, and more about self-actualization and self-fulfillment. Because when I hear your story, you're piecing together from childhood, you're piecing together skills that you've developed, training that you've received, and a problem that I have that has nothing to do with my formal training. And then you're connecting, oh, but wait, I have a camera from when I was 12, and I have always liked this thing. And then you're like, okay, I want to tell stories. And you're literally just kind of exploring yourself through your new endeavor. And so now, there are entrepreneurs out there who don't niche down, but your niche, to me, sounds like it's in the storytelling. The top 3 responses that I get when I ask, why do you want to leave corporate America, are that you want financial freedom, you want to own your own time, and you want to build a legacy for this generation and generations to come. Now, this is not a solo job. In order to transition from your 9-to-5 into entrepreneurship, it's going to take community and it's going to take resources. And I've created the community of pioneers who are going to wrap around you and help you make that transition successfully. So if you're interested in leaving your job, go ahead and click that information below. Let's get into the community and let's transition from your 9-to-5 into entrepreneurship successfully. Now let's get back to the episode. Because if you have a client who has a storyline, then you can have the creative direction to help them understand how to bring a story to life. But perhaps if it's a commercial and they want to know what's going to drive the most dollars, and you would have to answer this question for me. Would you prefer to have a conversation about, like, the storyline and the development of a piece that is intrinsically valuable to your client, or like a business deliverable where it's like, this has to have this type of conversion, we need to reach this audience? Like, which conversation do you prefer?
I would prefer the first one, the former. The reason that I would prefer the former is because, so again, the businesses I work with, I believe in the businesses. So for the most, I would say 95% of my clientele, I use their products or whatever it is that I shoot for them. So I believe in it. Like, I'm not just shooting it just for dollars. I'm shooting like, no, it's good. Like, so I shoot for the people I do my beer barn with. I shoot for this cap that I have on. Like, I shoot for like a lot of the, if I can shoot for, like, I want my entire clothing set would be shot for things I shoot on. So I believe in the actual product. So for me, when I'm telling that story and I'm saying this, like, I get to feel like I'm a part of the brand. I get to be a part of the story. I get to know the person. I get to really get their essence.
Yeah.
So when I'm talking to the CEO or whoever it is, I'm feeling out their essence. And when you do it for conversions, I think that's when it almost like becomes like social media culture. Are you doing it for the likes? Or are you doing it for just to put out, like, for yourself? The impact. Like, and one of the things that I learned is that, like, when I looked, so I have a podcast as well. We kind of talked about it beforehand. And my podcast, when I put that stuff, it gets the least amount of engagement.
First of all, what's the podcast?
Breaking and Entering the Podcast.
Thank you.
We're coming back with season 3 pretty soon. But it gets the least amount of engagement. Like, my videos usually do really well. Like, my films do super well. But the podcast gets the least amount of engagement for me. So it's like, if I just looked at the numbers, I would get that, the podcast, if I'm going to stop doing anything, it should be the podcast. However, when I talk to clients and why they chose me, the number one reason why they chose me is that, because I watched your podcast. Or like, I saw your podcast snippet. I like what you said on this podcast. My podcast legitimizes me. My podcast makes me more than just a shooter. It makes my voice heard. It's like, wow, I want to work with this person. I like what he's saying. And it's like, but the numbers would tell you something completely different. So I tell people numbers lie all the time. And honestly, if you're looking at numbers, I can manipulate any type of number. Like, if I want a client, I can have a failed, like, conversion rate from a commercial I made for you, and I can literally manipulate those numbers and convince you, if I wanted to, that it was successful, or this is what we need to do, or this is the reason, this and that. Like, statistics. Oh, you ever want to meet a liar? Meet a statistician. They lie all the time about everything. 4 out of 5 doctors agree that this is and that. What about that one doctor? Why do they not agree with this? Like, so numbers can always be manipulated. Whereas like that feeling, and you can argue that feelings can be manipulated as well, but it's like we get to know each other. I get to find your vibe, you get to find my vibe, and like, do our vibes mesh? Yeah. And to me, when our vibes mesh, like all my repeat clients and stuff like that, like, they are the best. Like, our vibes just mesh. We just get each other. Yeah. They just, and that's how I've been able to build this sustainable business, is that, like, I work with brands that I believe in.
When would you say you felt maybe relief or a moment of exhale in this journey?
My birthday.
When was your birthday? Okay.
My birthday is April 19th. And I'm for my birthday, like, I'm big into birthdays, but I'm more so like it's by myself or it's by my family. Like, I'm very like keep it low key. So this year was the first year that like they were like, let's celebrate, let's do like a whole thing, and let's throw like a whole party and like all this kind of stuff. I was like, okay, why not? Never really like just done that. And for me, it's like on my birthday I was taking pictures, like, because I love doing it. And so like that's just the type of person I am. It's like I'm gonna serve people. I'm a server at heart, and all the people around me served me. Like, they literally gave me my flowers. Like, literally, people like gave speeches and everything like that. And I had to have a moment that, like, in everyone's speech, everyone said in a personalized way the same thing about me. So it's like I realized I have been the same person to everyone in my life. And it was just like, it showed me who I was. And so I always had that with me. So even when, like, you know, my birthday's in April, May was like a hard month for me. June was a hard month for me. Like, July was not. August was not. September is looking like it's gonna be like I'm gonna have a lot on my plate. But it's like I remember that moment. It's like, and that helps propel me forward. So when you're talking about like people on the journey and that support, and stuff like that. And it's like, I know because I was told no so much, and I give so many people that yes, I saw what the value of giving people yes was. Because me giving those yeses would made people be able to, like, me open up to them, me be able to get their vibe, they get my vibe, and us be able to make some dope things from that. And that wouldn't have been created unless I was, gonna give them a yes. So I tell people, like, set your boundaries, tell people no and stuff like that when it needs to be, but like, be fearless and say yes from time to time, and you'll be surprised at the amount of dope things that you can have, because we want to say no. Because yes, comes with so much. Comes, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. I don't have time to do this. It comes with a lot, but when you say yes, yeses have opened up so many doors for the dopest things in my life.
When you say yes, yeses have, I think about all the opportunities that come our way, as entrepreneurs, like, oh, here's this new opportunity, here's this training, here's this new way to like, well, I feel like this new way to make money would be less appealing to you, but here's this new training on this new skill set, or here's this event that you can go to when you're like, oh, I have to do all this work. How do you prioritize your yeses?
It's a great question. I would say, like, I let intuition play its factor and stuff like that, but I am a person who, I like to be there. I like to be in my yes. I like to, if I can make it. So again, I'm a planner, so I plan out my days, I plan out my evenings, I try to plan out my weeks, I try to plan out my months, and so I know what I have to do, and I do try to work in a lot of stuff. And sometimes doing a training or doing an event or being somewhere, it can seem a little bit, but I'm in the moment. So if anybody knows me, that's my catchphrase, in the moment. So if I'm there at an event, I'm gonna, in my mind, I need to find out why I'm here at this event. I need to meet that one contact. I need to meet that one person. I need to find that one thing that I was supposed to hear. I don't ever believe I'm here on accident. Or if I am here on accident, I'm gonna find the purpose in this event. So I've had plenty of times where, like, a shoot hasn't gone well or an event hasn't been going well and stuff like that, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna allow that to change my positivity or my spirit or what's going on. I'm gonna find why I needed to be here.
Yeah.
And just, it's rolling with the punches for me. So it's just like, and yes, like I said, yes can turn into a headache. People can take advantage because I say yes. So much people do take advantage of me. That is the downside of saying yes. So I would tell people, take it with a grain of salt. Don't just come out, oh, Enoch said say yes.
Right. Let me call him right after this episode.
But it does, like, people do oftentimes take advantage of me, or they don't think of me, and like they think that it's like, oh yeah, we can just have Enoch do it, and like you'll be fine. It's just like, but it comes with the good and the bad. But yes, it's like, I have people who right now, if I call them up and I needed a favor, they're gonna move mountains.
Yeah.
Because I've moved mountains for them. So it's just like, it's pros and cons. It's a balance. And I guess that might be the hardest part for any entrepreneur, is finding that balance. Every balance, like finding the balance between personal and work life. Again, my business for the most part is open 24/7. I shoot every single day.
Yeah.
I tell people that literally, if I'm here hanging out with you, I was called in to shoot today. I chose you. I chose.
Listen,
like, I get called in every single day to shoot.
Yeah.
So it's but you make choices, you make sacrifices. It's like, what do you want to do? So
that's lit. I'm happy I made the cut.
She is a planner. This is like, what, 6 weeks in the making?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. I was like, listen, I don't care who called me today. Like, I try to be a man of my word. Not saying that I always uphold it. So I literally, you got on my calendar. I had nothing on my calendar. So if somebody was gonna just like, I don't care. I don't care if Obama, well, maybe Obama.
Right,
But
even still, you seem like you'd be immaculate with your words in terms of communicating to me, hey, whenever you heard this, I heard this 5 minutes ago, I gotta go. I understand.
But to me, like, to a certain extent, I still probably would have did this over an Obama interview. Why? Because I told you I was going to be here and this and that, and it's like, if Obama called once, he'll call me.
Yeah, that's fact.
That's how I see it. It's like, but I mean,
ooh, I said the other day, it was a post. It wasn't the other day. It was a couple weeks ago, if not months. I am grateful for endless opportunities because we harp on the ones in the past, especially when we become entrepreneurs. Sometimes we harp on the fact that we quit. We're sitting here like, I should have kept that nice job. I'll never get a job like that again. It's like, no, if you had a corporate job that paid you $200,000, you can get another one.
It's endless. This is like, and then the whole thing about like, I worked with people. I worked with so many celebrities, and they have been disappointing. You want to be disappointed? Work with somebody who you thought was your hero at one point.
Ooh.
So it's like, to me, it's like these people are men and women.
Yeah.
They have flaws just like the rest of us. Like, I don't get hyped up of working with nobody unless I've worked with you before and it's been dope. So like, I know the people, like when an artist calls me, I know who like I want to work. I'm like, oh, I'm happy because I just, it's almost like I want to work with you, not because of who you are, but because of what you bring to, like, not because of what you bring to the table, but because of who you are.
Yeah.
So
you seem like you've been a pretty grounded person, and you've been a pretty giving person even through your corporate career. So I'm curious, and it sounds like the challenge for you has been learning to say no. I would say, what is something that you've learned about yourself over the years that you were like, that makes sense about myself, and you didn't necessarily know it was there?
What's something that, I would say the biggest thing is that I've learned about myself is that I do have to set boundaries. I realized how open and giving I was, and I want to be that. Again, going back to the beginning, I save the world complex. Like, I want to be there for people. I want to feel like, not saying I want to be everyone's friend, but it can be perceived that I want to be everyone's friend. Because I'm a super nice guy. Like, I don't get like you. This is
since I've met you every single moment, you have always been consistently good vibes.
This is who I am. Like, I'm nice. I'm calm. I'm mellow.
Yeah.
If you see me angry, somebody can, boo, that person then did it. This is who I am. But with that being said, it's like, because of that, like, again, people do take advantage of me. So setting those boundaries is hard for me because it's like, I want to help people out. I want people to feel like they can come to me. I want to be a helping hand and stuff like that. But you can't just come, like, now it's almost like terrible, but it's like I have to kind of talk my stuff. It's like, you can't just come over here thinking that you coming to McDonald's. Like, nah, this is a 5-star buffet over here.
Facts. Okay.
Like, just because I open the door for you doesn't mean you can come here acting any type of way. I'm welcoming you into my home.
Yeah.
And if you coming in with dirty shoes, you can, at the exit, the same door that you walk through, you can walk out of it. So it's like, that's the boundary I had to say, because like, and it's like, because people, they disrespect you, and it's like, I don't take kind of disrespect. I be like, listen, I'm humble, very humble, but if we need to turn up, we can look at the accolades I have. You're not just gonna talk to me any type of way. Okay.
All right, now we got to get into that. To put a bit of a bow on the saving the world complex, right? Had a conversation. No, I was about to say 5 years ago. 2015 is now 6 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. Had a conversation with your girlfriend. It started with a question. Okay, well, if you don't like it so much, why don't you fix it, right? What project are you most proud of in terms of impact that you wanted to create?
Ooh. What project am I most proud of? That is... Okay. I can't narrow it down to just a sole project, but I'm going to do it in 3. I have 3 of them. One of them is called Black Lives Mattering. So George Floyd was murdered that Monday, and 2 weeks later, I had a whole film which I encapsulated like what's like to the moments before all these people were murdered. So I chose 8 cases, and I made like a whole film, and I did it in 2 weeks. I planned it, shot it, edited, and it's actually the thing that really skyrocketed my trajectory. When I put that out there, like, I got so much love. That's landed me my big clients. It landed me a lot of stuff. It like really established me. So that one was, I had never seen so much success so fast. That was like the first time I ever got a lot of success. The second one, I would say, would be on bended knee. So my friend, he wrote a script, and he's my friend. He's my business partner. He's become my best friend at this point. Stanley Williams, shout out to him. And he literally believed for me to shoot. So it was the first time somebody believed for me to actually like shoot something with him, and like just take the vision and like trust me. And we shot it and stuff like that. And it was like one of my first things I've ever like really done. So that one really impacted me. And then the last one was These Hands. I literally was the star of it. I directed it. I wrote it. I edited it. I did it all, but I allowed myself to have a team. I had the coach. So Stanley's, he's in that as well. My best friend who have a podcast with, Blair Smith. Peggy, who's been on this podcast, she was helping me so much behind the scenes. She helped me with marketing. So it's like I met so many people who helped me out with that project. And there's so much more. There's Nisha Rogers, there's Leah Masons, there's Samira Johnsons, there's Coruscant. Like they were all like, there's Anthony Williams. Like I said, there were a lot of people who helped me out with that project. And just seeing that I could do it all, but having a team, it just was very encapsulating to just like be like, so this is the moment that it brought me to. And people really loved it. Like people, that was probably like one of my most beloved projects. But all my films have something. It's like they're all totally different. Like I can tell you about Entanglement, I can tell you about Shadows, I can tell you about like, they all brought something different to the table, and I love all of them. They're all my babies.
I got you. So would you say the one thing that connects them all is a certain tone or a certain storyline or a certain formula in the storyline? Like what ties them all together?
So what people will tell you about me is that I am a hopeless romantic. So it's always like love. Right? So These Hands is like self-love. Let me see. On Bended Knee is like traditional, like a man trying to overcome his fear to ask a girl out. So it's always like love is my biggest thing. So if I'm gonna tell a horror story, I'm gonna tell it. There's gonna be a love story at the center of it. If I'm gonna tell an action film, there's gonna be a love story in it, because I'm big on, especially it's black man, black woman love, because I feel like right now we're fighting so much. Like I feel like that's a big thing. It's just like black men aren't hearing black women aren't hearing black men, and we're just fighting. And we just really need to sit back and listen, because everything we're saying has a place, you know. And it's all coming from a place of hurt that was put into us by a system and stuff like that. And if we can kind of take the step back and realize it's not necessarily on us, but we're the only people who can solve it, like let's have those conversations and start breaking down these barriers. Because at the end of the day, in this country, we have been all that we've ever had. Like we really have never had any allies. No. We've had like it's really literally, if we go back, we've been in the trenches together this entire time.
Facts.
So for me, telling that love story is super important. Let's break down those barriers. So
wow,
that's always going to be a thing you're going to see in all of my films. You're going to see a black man and a black woman loving on each other.
Oh,
you're going to see that every single time. If you ever see a film that is not, I know you will never see a film that's not going to have that for me.
That is beautiful. For that reason and that reason alone, I have to watch your entire portfolio. That would be the TV that I watch of the year, because I do not watch a lot of TV, but I am a hopeless romantic as well, and I love Love Jones. But the only thing I don't like about Love Jones is that it wasn't made in my generation. Like, you know, like we don't live that life anymore. But I'm like, I do believe it's attainable. I do believe that level of communication is available. From a technical perspective, so you've developed this life. The first half of your life was very technical, very engineering, very formulaic, very left brain, so to speak, right? In the second part of your process, you bring some of that to your creative side, right? You're developing this new image, this new identity. So I'm curious about your process. Like, how did you develop a process to which you create a project, that you handle a client? Take me through a process of like creating something with you.
I would say that's probably my secret sauce right there.
Ooh.
Because I'm an engineer. So it's like creatives, you know, are great. I love working with creatives. The creatives are very much so, it's on their time. You can't disrupt the creative process, which is true. Get it. Understood. I'm a little bit more logical, and it's like, no, we have deadlines. We have this and that. Like, yes, you can't disrupt the creative project, but the show must go on. And like, sadly enough, this is going to be my example. It's just like, Chadwick Boseman was the ultimate Black Panther. And we lost him. He was phenomenal and everything like that. Is Marvel not going to make Black Panther 2 now because they lost their lead actor? No, you have to pivot. You have to be adaptable. Mm-hmm. You honor him and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, he will want his legacy. He built this franchise and he wants it to keep going on. So it's like, let's honor his legacy. So that's, to me, that's the true logical with the creative process, to keep it going in spite of, tragedy happening. Whereas a lot of times creatives just, they stop, or it's gonna happen on their timeline. And so for me as an engineer, it's like, no, I have a deadline. I have these structures, I have these processes, I have this problem that I need to solve. It's a problem, it's the project. So we got to get this project done. Let's make it happen. There's a way to make it happen. We just haven't thought about every single avenue to make it happen. Mm-hmm. So that's, to me, like, that's why I do so well, because I'm very much so like, okay, project management. Okay, we're here, we're this and that. Like, you're looking at my day, and it's like, I'm always like, the day before, I'm shooting out emails, I'm shooting out text messages. Is this still on? Is this and that? Like, I'm preparing for my next day, and I'm super, like, meticulous and structured in that way. And I'm always like reaching out to other people and making sure like they're leading the project. How are you doing? Do you need me for anything? Like this and that. And like I've seen that culture started to like shift over to my team. So now when they know I'm doing something, they're reaching out to me. Hey, do you need me to do this and that? And it's like, that's the culture I want to create. That's the leader I have always tried to be and become. So, but that comes from my engineering. So I'm a left brain person in a right brain space.
A left brain person in a right brain space. So if I'm a client and I have a project that I want to create, and I call you, what's the first thing that you ask me in order to qualify me as a client?
What's your story?
Okay.
What's your story? It tells me a lot if you can actually tell me your story.
My personal story, even if it doesn't have anything to do with the project. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Tells you a lot. What does it tell you?
So, if you can't tell me your personal story, you can't tell me what this project is either. Because why are you doing this project? So for me, it's like, in my opinion, what connects people to a T-shirt, or what connects people to a car, or whatever the product is that you're trying to sell, or whatever you're trying to like get people to see, is your personal story. Like so again, I'm telling you about, I'm a hopeless romantic. My films are always going to have that. Why is it going to have that? Because I told you, I see it in a community. It's coming from me. So it makes people feel that. I'm not going to say I have the best films in the world, but when people see my films, they feel it because they feel me. That's really what people are, they're feeling you. So when you wear someone's T-shirt, you're really feeling them. So what's your story? If you can tell me what that story is, then I know that I can take your story and put it in this project, and people are going to be able to feel you.
I like it. Okay, that's the first question. How do you take the client from start, like, first time they've ever done a project before, to like the finished project?
So I ask people like, how involved do you want to be? Because I really can be a one-stop shop. Like I can write it, I can shoot it, I can do all the things. But it's like, if you want to be here along the way, I'm super happy. Like I'm welcome me to that. But it's like, how far along the line? So like I have people who literally, I shot for this store the other day, they literally just gave me the product and said, do the things. Budget, do the things. I delivered them the things. And they liked it. And I have people who's like, okay, we're literally setting up weekly to maybe daily calls until like, to make sure we're on task and we're on time. They're like involved in every step of the way. Yeah. So it just depends upon what that would be my second question. Is like, okay, how much? Because at the end of the day, if you want me to shoot a commercial for you, a lot of times, especially CEOs, you're juggling so much. You just want to be like, okay, hand it off. I know it's good. So it's like, let me be the person who can relieve that pressure. I don't want to add pressure to you. Like, that's my job. I try not to add any pressure to you. Yeah. I want to be a relief. So let me take some stuff off your table. Take some stuff off your plate. It's Thanksgiving meal and you're over here unbuttoning your pants, like, I don't know if I can eat that sweet potato pie. Don't worry, I'll eat sweet potato pie for you.
And they can still get the enjoyment out of it. And the calories. That's lit. Okay. As a leader, you said you're cultivating the community or the culture that you wanted. How did you learn how to be a good leader in this space? Hey guys, it's Ariel from the Work and Play podcast. If you're getting any value from this channel, and I mean anything from the tutorials to the podcast to the random videos that you see on this channel, then I just ask that you do one thing. Please subscribe. Subscribe and share this to anyone that you think this resonates with, and drop a comment below so I know what other things that you want to see next. Now let's get back to the episode.
For me, it's like I've made all the mistakes, but I've made so many mistakes. So many mistakes. I've disappointed so many times. Disappointed myself, disappointed others, and living in that failure. Living in it, not running from it, embracing it. Failure is a friend of mine. It's not an enemy, it's a friend.
Yeah.
He's taught me a lot. And so I'm always constantly, I'm a little different. I would say this. I don't try to keep my knowledge into myself. Anybody ask me, they'll be like, hey, what's your secret is? I'll tell you exactly. Because at the end of the day, I truly believe that I have a gift and that it can't be duplicated. So I don't think of anybody as my competitor. It's like, you're gonna do it your way, I'm gonna do it my way. I can tell you exactly how to do it. It's gonna come out completely different.
Yeah.
Because you don't have what I have and I don't have what you have.
Yeah.
So anytime anybody's working with me and asking me, I tell them to ask questions. And I'm telling them what I'm doing and I'm telling them this now. I'm super transparent. I'm super open to help out other people. Because it's at the end of the day, I want you to be successful. I'm not here to and that might not be the best business practice per se, but it's to me, there's so much pie out here. There's so much pie. I don't have to have the whole pie. Yeah. I don't want the whole pie. I told you, I want to save the world. So me being the person who, I don't want to control the world. I want to save the world. So it's me saving the world is helping other people realize that to take their gifts and to, cultivate them. So, because if we all do a little, none of us has to do a lot. That's my motto. So it's help people see that what's the little you can do? What's the little that you can do? And then suddenly the world's safe. So. And so
that's how you bring that to your leadership.
So I try to impart my mistakes, impart my failures. If you're working with me and you're making the same mistake that I made previously, I didn't do my job as a leader. Because at the end of the day, so my first ever boss was my favorite boss. For the solo company, I would still be working for them if they hadn't moved to DC.
Okay.
Atlanta. But he told me, he said, it's funny, he said, in 10 years, if you're still working for me, I didn't do my job. Literally, second day on the job, he's telling me this. He says, because I'm not training workers, I'm training CEOs. So you have to think about that mentality of you're meeting your employee, and it could be not the harm on her. I'm a great employee. So you're willing to lose out because you see the bigger picture in mind that you want me to go out and spread my wings and fly without you.
Yeah.
So everything he imparted in me was wisdom to be able to make it on my own.
Yeah.
He didn't keep anything back. So I try to get that appeal. I'm trying to be listen, if a person comes to me and they're a PA and they're just on my set and stuff like that, and then they go out and make a film that does better than any of my films ever, I am proud of them. Yeah. I am not hating on them. I want you to make films that are better than mine. I want you to be a better storyteller than me. I want you to I'm a stepping stone. I want to alley-oop this. I don't want to be the best. I want people to trump me. I can't even use that word.
No, right?
But, I want people to go way beyond me.
Yeah.
I want them to far exceed me, because it's that means we're getting better.
Yeah.
And that means we're progressing and stuff like that. So I just don't so I tell people knowledge. I give them the game. Not necessarily the best business practice, but I'm not here to be the number one business. I'm here to help people. I'm here to serve.
I was gonna say to be the best version of yourself.
That, yes.
Because as you keep putting these pieces together, you just adding philosophies to skill sets that was once a foundation, and then the training, and then you have your secret sauce of now how you do creative work, and you're putting left brain and right brain together, and you're still seeking out what you value, and then you're trying to instill that in other people, and then you learn about yourself as you instill that. So I think as I'm hearing you, your evolution process is not particularly driven by entrepreneurship. It might not even be particularly driven on like maybe my philosophy, which is like everybody needs to be free, but it is that you are truly you're exploring yourself, and you're exploring like the best way that you can bring value to other people, and that's pretty beautiful. It's pretty beautiful. One of the things that, as you tell your story, I think about this my journey, and the fact that I started off as a data analyst, and then I had the curiosity to save the world, and then I found myself in a space that's completely opposite of like my left brain world. What I admire about your story is you started 5 years ahead of time. I took my leap a little bit before I had it all figured out. Right? I really bet on myself before I had all the information. But so through the course that I'm creating, I want to create something where if someone wants to do what you did or what I did, they can do it in 2 years, or they can do it in 12 months. Because I didn't know I was going to be an entrepreneur. You didn't know you were going to be an entrepreneur. It was just that question, like, we know there's more. We know we want to solve a problem. We know we want to save lives. How are we going to do that? I want to own my own thing. I want to do my own thing. What does that look like? I don't know, but I'm working towards it, right? Yeah. I'm going to start building these skill sets. I'm going to start getting money for it, right? I'm going to find mentorship. I'm going to create an ecosystem that's going to allow me to be successful. So doing that, we did it very exploratory. That's what I'm resonating with. You're exploring yourself. You're exploring your skill set. You're building these things. Well, who's to say, like, if you have a target, we can kind of condense that storyline and make it, do everything that you did intentionally, right? And we can make that journey more succinct, more streamlined. And then you can still explore yourself, because entrepreneurship is not the end all. It's the beginning.
It's the beginning, yeah. It gives more questions and it will give answers. You're going to learn something new about myself every single day.
Every single day.
Every single day. It's a beautiful journey, y'all.
So as I think about this last thing, I would love for you to share with us is for the person who's currently in the left brain life. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they have an inkling that they might be good at something creative, but they don't believe they're creative yet. They might not even have had a camera at 12, right? Mm-hmm. I would like for you to tell us, what is that one thing, that one skill set, that one piece that they can work on in order to make their journey successful, if they truly believe that they want to do something on their own and they want to work in the creative space specifically.
Creative space specifically. So first of all, I would say that don't categorize yourself. Mm. So one thing I would say is I'm both. We all have both brains. We all have capabilities of both of them. It's just, what have you tapped into? So don't categorize yourself. Don't say that, just because I was an engineer, but I've always been able to write and stuff like that. So I can work in the creative space. So don't just because, don't compare yourself either. Just because this person is that, everyone's journey is their journey. Some people are going to achieve success at 18. Some people are going to achieve success at 80. It does, and neither one of, just because it came later in life doesn't make it any less beautiful. So don't categorize yourself. But if you're serious about it, what are you willing to sacrifice? I think that's the biggest thing you have to, because really the biggest thing is I've sacrificed relationships. Sacrificed, that girlfriend that we talked about, she's an ex-girlfriend. Like you said, I've sacrificed time. I've sacrificed, parties. I've sacrificed fun. I've sacrificed a lot of things to be here. This hasn't been, without my battle scars. So what are you willing to sacrifice? How many for a year, before Masterclass became the wave, I've been watching, I've had a subscription since 2015, 2016. I've been watching those videos for a while. I've dig down into the writing ones. I was an hour a day trying to watch them. YouTube University, sacrificing, going to bed at 2, 3 a.m. and popping up at 7 a.m. Really just doing those things. Again, back to my journey. I was working 2 jobs to get myself out of here. Not for the money, but for the experience. You know how many times I went and shot for exposure? Which I tell people, don't shoot for exposure. Anytime somebody wants to pay you an exposure, they're usually full of crap. But I shot for exposure. just to literally be there and stuff like that and find that moment and stuff like that. So what are you willing to sacrifice? If you're not willing to sacrifice, then maybe at this moment entrepreneurship is not for you. Because that's what it is. You've sacrificed a lot to be an entrepreneur. Every entrepreneur has sacrificed a lot. And I remember Elon Musk had a quote that said, I work on my vacations. I work 360 days. I'm paraphrasing it wrong. But it's like, I work on my vacations. I work like 6 out of the 7 days a week. I work 360 days, and people still say I'm lucky.
Mm-hmm.
There's no luck in this game. Luck is nothing but where opportunity meets preparation. So like, if you're prepared, the opportunity will come, because there's so many opportunities out here. So it's not a lucky game. It's not like, oh, this falls into people's lap. People say LeBron James was a millionaire at 18. You tell me, if you can play basketball 12 hours a day from the age of 10 to 18 years old for 8 years, consistently doing anything for 12 hours a day, yeah, you'll probably be a millionaire too, and whatever you want to choose. There's a level of consistency that you have to do. People say Beyonce, like, you know how hard that she was working when she was a child? Michael Jackson, all these great people, like, you know how hard they were working, like, as children. That's why they got success so early, because, you know, we can call Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson had a job at 5.
Yeah.
Literally 40, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. He was working doctor's hours as a 5-year-old.
Facts.
That's why he was able to make Thriller. You know, so that's the sacrifices that he made. He sacrificed his childhood to become one of the greatest artists of all time. So,
Facts.
But that's entrepreneurship. Like, what are you willing to sacrifice to be a CEO?
Yeah. And when you think about that, and they answer that question, I love for them to think back to, what have you gained after you've made all that sacrifice? How would you sum that up?
So I have gained freedom. I've gained liberation, and the biggest thing is I've gained the value of self. You know, because one of the things I can say is that, like, how I felt in corporate America, I never want anyone who works with me or for me to feel that way. So I know I'm not creating a culture that I came from. I'm creating a brand new culture. And so I will say, ultimately, entrepreneurship is the most rewarding thing I've ever done before in my life. It is worth it. It is worth it. It's a journey. It's hard. It is not easy. I don't want to glamorize it, because I don't want people to think, oh yeah, just do it. Like, no, it's hard. It's gonna test you. You're gonna break down. You're gonna cry. I've cried many a time. You're gonna get angry. You're gonna, like I said, things are not gonna go your way, but when they do, it is that pursuit of happiness moment where he claps and he's crying. It is ultimate happiness. It is euphoria. It is the greatest amount of freedom that I've ever felt in my life. So, but again, you're gonna go through that mud for that. It's Shawshank Redemption. You climb through a mile worth of doo-doo to be free. It's literally, but are you willing to go through that? It's gonna smell terrible.
Yes.
It's gonna be terrible. But freedom, or do you want to stay in prison? The option's up to you. So at the end of the day, it is up to you. It's ultimately your decision. There's no wrong decision to make. There's nothing. If you choose not to be an entrepreneur, it's like, you don't have to. That's your choice. But realize that's your choice.
Realize that's your choice. The power is in the decision. And truth be told, as soon as you make the decision to move forward, then let's get locked and loaded.
Hey, go for it. Go for it. Like, don't
go for it.
Don't be tapping on the line. Like, go do it. If you're gonna do it, do it. It's like, to me, it's like, my whole thing is, if I'm gonna fail big. If I'm gonna fail, it's gonna be like, hey, I'm sorry, guys. Like, but you're not gonna tell me I didn't try. Yeah, that's the thing. That's one thing. You're not gonna tell me I didn't try. I'm gonna fail big. It's gonna be huge. It's like, if you're gonna do it, do it. You know, because if you succeed big too. Like, you know, the risk, it's always gonna be risk, but there's that reward.
Facts. So, listen, I have thoroughly enjoyed your story. You sum up almost every single point in your 5-year exit plan. Not even just that, but like you just kind of remembering everything you've been through. That is what I wish everyone would start with. Start with exploring that side of yourself. And through your story, I really hope people who are listening and people who are watching find, a practical way of making that transition. But then also start to believe in yourself, because if you can do it, and if I can do it,
they can do it. you can do it. Like if that's a one piece of advice, I mean, you can do it.
You
Whatever you want to do, I don't care. You can do it. I don't care if you're 80 years old and you tell me you want to be a ballerina. You can do it. You might be the first to ever do it, but you can do it. Literally, you're standing in your own way.
Literally.
Just, you got to make it happen. It's going to be some sacrifices. It's not going to be all glitz and glamour.
No.
You can do it.
Facts. So, Enoch, for those who are listening and watching and they resonate with your story, they either want to work with you as a client or they want to be trained by you as a mentee, who knows? Or they just want to follow your story. What are some ways that people can contact you or stay connected?
I would say easiest way would be Instagram. I do respond to my DMs and all that kind of stuff. I'm pretty available there. So I'm at Walk with Enoch. My name is spelled Enoch. So Walk with Enoch. So they can follow me there. Like hey, if you need if you want to be a mentee, I'm always down. Like I said, I am busy, but like I said, you heard what I said. I say yes more than I say no. So it's kind of.
Hey, but the first question is going to be, what is your story? So be prepared to answer the first question.
Yes.
All right.
Literally ask it.
So thank y'all so much for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for being here, Enoch. Thank you so much for sharing your story with me.
Absolutely.
Listen, we can do this all day, but you are the best. You the GOAT.
Listen.
I receive it.
Goats hang out with goats.
Hey, okay. That's a way to dead that. Well, until next time, you all have a wonderful day. Go out there and be great. Find a way to explore yourself. And until next time, peace out.